What is going on, Crisis Actors? It is episode 994 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I am here once again with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. We are back from the Super Bowl weekend. I had a ton of fun. I watched both halftime shows and very little of the actual game. But can you remind me who won?
Seahawks won. Seattle.
And they're Seattle, right? Okay. I don't know. Were you betting on it? Were you rooting for anybody? I didn't bet on it.
No. So the only time I would care is if either Minnesota was in the game or if Minnesota made it far enough into the playoffs. My logic is always you want the team that wins the Super Bowl to be the one that beat you, because some people have two schools of thought on this. Usually they want the other team the team that beat them to lose because they want revenge. I say if you lose to the team that won, that means that you were the second best.
I mean, yeah, that is something to be proud of in and of itself.
I feel like those are fundamentally different worldviews, though.
I also ate way too much food yesterday and tried some Jell-O shots that were very gross. So I'm just kind of, I'm not even hungover.
You do look lethargic.
I'm lethargic. I wouldn't say I'm hungover because I feel like as long as you're sober 100% by the time you go to bed, you're not going to have a hangover. That's been my life hack.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I was not paying that close attention to the game nor the commercials. I was surprised that there weren't more commercials for GLP-1s other than the one with Serena Williams one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like the only one that I recall seeing.
I didn't. The only ones that I saw were that one, and I saw the Mandalorian and Grogu one that Jon Favreau directed that everybody was freaking out about because it was apparently really, really bad. And it didn't really seem to. It took inspiration from past like commercials from the Super Bowl and didn't really seem to have much to do with the Mandalorian and Grogu. And they did the Jurassic Park commercial, which I thought was kind of endearing.
Did they de-age everyone in that?
I don't know how they did that. If they got them back and then de-aged them, or if that was some type of, I don't know how they did it, but it was good. I enjoyed that one. I thought that one.
And there was another one where they de-aged, like, was it the Friends cast? It was like the whole cast of Friends, and they de-aged them, and it was just really creepy and off-putting.
I've also heard that this year was the year of AI commercials, and in general, the human beings, like the name brand actors, the ones everybody's heard of, they're fetching a lower rate than they used to for these types of things.
There was also a Pepsi commercial that featured polar bears, and I wasn't sure if they were CGI or AI, but I thought that the polar bear thing was a Coca-Cola thing. Like, that confused me more than anything. Yeah,
I had a tweet about that. I basically said that Snap has been funding the soda wars for so long that what's going on right now is Pepsi has made inroads into Coca-Cola's organization. They're stealing key personnel. They've taken out infrastructure. And as a Pepsi supremacist, far above Coca-Cola, which is absolutely disgusting.
Really?
If you ask me. I had a tweet. I said, like, I'm going to start a podcast talking just about soda. It's going to be called Pop Culture. It's going to be called Pop Culture Crisis, oddly enough, which most people got the reference. Some people didn't, but another people were talking about like Surge versus Mountain Dew over the weekend, and I realized that what I really want is a podcast talking about soda, even though I don't drink it anymore.
You know what? No, I miss when commercials would just scream at you and have a lot of like bright colors and overwhelming sensory information.
Yep.
Commercials are too lo-fi now for me. I just think we should bring back the late 90s, early 2000s vibe.
Well, and commercials are actually kind of like other things that we may end up discussing on this show. Commercials for the Super Bowl are a explanation as to why monoculture is dead, because all the commercials pull from past times in which monoculture was a thing. There is nothing that's being made for Super Bowl commercials now that's creating future monoculture references.
Right. Like the Backstreet Boys T-Mobile ad was it really is telling that like there's nothing newer than the Backstreet Boys that you can reference in marketing that codes familiar to the mass audience.
Is it possible? Look, there is though. Like, there's fans of like One Direction or fans of the Jonas Brothers that would be able to be referenced, but maybe they're just not in like the money spent. They're like they don't have any money to spend.
Right. That's for millennials who are not really in the key demo for actual spending.
So Gen X is the last generation for spending.
Yeah, pretty much. They have to relate to the boomers and Gen Xers for the most part in all of these ads that like they're a huge moment for like spending more on ads than they normally would.
Yeah. There's a 20 here from Corey Anderson says the Google commercial with the mom and the kid moving houses where they were using Google to decorate the kid's room. The question I have is, where is the father? Where was the father?
Yeah, I remember that commercial was just like weird and contrived. Like it was trying to make you associate, cute, wholesome family vibes with, using an AI chat assistant. And those things just shouldn't mix, in my opinion.
The internet was out. The dad was outside fixing the internet so they could use the chat assistant to decorate the room.
Also, you can figure out how to decorate a kid's room all by yourself. Yes. Okay, fuck off with that. Like, you don't need a Google chat assistant to tell you how to paint the walls in your kid's room.
Take the kid to Hobby Lobby and make him pick out a bunch of...
Figure it out.
Yeah.
That's just dumb.
Half of what Hobby Lobby is just like posters you can hang up in your wall.
Go to Pottery Barn. Go to Hobby Lobby, go get the paint swatches at Home Depot, figure it out. You can do it. I believe in you.
We got a bunch of stuff to get into today, guys. But before we get started, as always, hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel if you're new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. Please and thank you. The more people that you share the channel out with, the faster we can grow, which is what we are looking for. We are getting dangerously close. Yes, we are. And we are getting dangerously close to 400,000 subscribers. We are also coming up on episode 1,000, which is a milestone. So we are going to be looking forward to that. What are we getting into today? Well, we are going to be talking about the battle of the two Super Bowl halftime shows. We're going to talk about the Turning Point All-American Alternative halftime show, and we're going to talk about Bad Bunny. And we're also going to talk about the Olympics because there was an opening ceremony which once again garnered accusations of satanic influence. So we are going to talk about it. We're also going to talk about Clavicular. If you don't know who that is, I don't blame you. That's okay. You haven't been watching us for very long, but we are going to talk about him because he was mogged on campus and then arrested. So we are going to get into it. Also, Bianca Censori, the wife of Kanye West, has come out to explain why she was naked all the time the last couple of years. And surprise, 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 it wasn't Kanye making her do it. It was, in fact, a pretentious art piece that nobody's going to care about. No?
Yeah, I read that and I was like, okay, we all knew that it was performance art. You didn't need to explain that. What you need to explain is like how this provides any meaning or value to society, because it clearly doesn't. And I also wanted to mention, just because it amuses me, I take notice of nominal determinism quite often, and the fact that her last name is Censori and she has been silent for the majority of her career in the public eye, it really is resonant to me. I think she should actually not have done this interview and probably just stay in the background for the most part.
The Sydney Sweeney method.
The Sydney Sweeney method.
Did you say that she's like that none of it's adding any value to society?
No, I said
That's what you said.
That's my opinion about her performance art project of being naked. I mean, there's not a whole lot of performance or art involved in that.
There was, we were watching an old episode of like the Hawaii Five-0 reboot yesterday, and Danny has like this screw-up nephew that comes to stay with him, and he's an absolute buffoon. And at one point, he literally just sits across from him. He's like, "You've done nothing. You've attributed nothing to society. You're a failure." And I was just like, that's kind of based, because then the dude goes and gets his college degree and goes to work for the police department, all because he was bullied by his uncle and told, like, you're not attributing to society, which means he's like one step below us, doing podcasting.
You need to hear that sometimes. I do think that our show provides more value to society than it detracts.
Let's hope for that, right? All right, if you are ready, Mary, we can go. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's go, I guess.
Let's get started then. Let's go.
So the Super Bowl as a mass cultural event was pretty much overshadowed by the culture war raging on as it usually does. There were two halftime shows battling it out for cultural relevance. Bad Bunny, of course, was the headliner chosen by Jay-Z. And then on the other hand, you could tune into Turning Point USA's All-American halftime show headlined by Kid Rock. And I think that before we compare and contrast the two, we should probably just discuss our thoughts on the Bad Bunny performance. To begin with, I thought it was terrible. I don't really see much salvaging that. It certainly wasn't as bad as a lot of people assumed it would be, but I see a lot of conservative takes that are like, well, I guess, at least there were no transvestites or demons in it, so we won. But like, it was still really inflammatory and politically charged and racially charged. And I didn't appreciate the music either. I didn't find it impressive or entertaining. And I think that it is a slap in the face to perform an entire halftime show in a language that guaranteed like 90% of the people watching couldn't understand.
Yeah, it reminded me of West Side Story. Steven Spielberg. The most interesting critique that I saw was that they showed fan cam videos from the sidelines, or from people in the stands, I'm sorry. And you couldn't see what was going on because of the way the set was built. And he's essentially playing to the camera rather than playing to the audience. So it's more of a music video than it is a live performance for the people in the stage, which shows an interesting break from how these performances used to be. I think the number one thing that you can take away from most of it is that the NFL no longer wants an American audience alone. They want a global audience, just like the same thing is happening with WWE right now when they bend the knee to Saudi Arabia and do all their shows over in Riyadh or all the places that they go over there, being bought out by TKO. A lot of people believe that at some point Saudi Arabia itself, the country, is going to buy TKO and then eventually own the WWE and the UFC, stuff like that. So you're no longer playing for the live audience there. You're essentially performing for the sake of the camera, which means it's for the people watching, which means it's not just for Americans. And that was echoed through in the performance as well. I will give credit to both parties in saying that I have friends who work in these industries, so I'm always and because of what we do, I'm kind of always in awe of the technical expertise it takes to make things like this happen. But as a whole, the performance felt more engaged in telling a politically subversive story. And to their credit, one of the things I've always made the comment about, I said, the propaganda went down easier when it was less on the nose. Now, there was aspects of it that were definitely on the nose for this one, but I did see some that were referenced, whether it was the color of the Puerto Rican flag or a couple of other things in the set pieces that were designed to sit underneath the surface to the average viewer, but speak politically to the people who would already know what they were talking about. So if you're talking purely on the basis of art, they're both propaganda. This one was just more subtly done in areas and more over the top in others.
Well, as Puerto Rican friend of the show, Dane Font would say, it was propaganda. I thought that the messaging was kind of over the top and very on the nose on both sides. I mean, you open it up and it's a bunch of brown people in straw hats on a plantation. And then he's toward the end says, "God bless America," and the message unfolds
the on the nose part.
He's referring to the Americas, and he's then going to list off all of these countries instead of the United States and fly all of their flags marching toward the camera. And then this huge message on the Jumbotron behind them says, "The only thing more powerful than hate is love." And
we are so past this was the "we are the worldification" of messaging, which is just like empty slogans and platitudes that don't actually unite anybody. That is actually the one that I'm referring to as the more on the nose one, where I feel like somebody with a minor in political science would point that out easily, and even somebody who's just reading about this stuff would know that. My point was more about the thing that I read was like the Ricky Martin song was about Puerto Rico's colonization being compared to Hawaii's and the island's gentrification and potential U.S. statehood. Now, that may seem on its face to be mildly political. It's extremely political when you think about the fact that you could have brought everybody together by performing Living La Vida Loca. They love bringing back old artists to play old songs. They wouldn't have brought back Dr. Dre and Eminem if they didn't want to bring back part of my childhood. So they could have brought him back to do a song that would have actually brought Americans, to their feet with something they recognize, but they opted not to do that. And that's what I mean by subtle political messaging. One, because most people won't know what he's saying anyways and wouldn't understand the lyrics of the song, but it's still there, layered into the performance. You just have to go digging for it. And that's what I mean by they're much better at propaganda.
Yeah, I mean, there were some things that were kind of thrown in there that are blink and you miss it. For instance, some of these sets that were designed to look like street vendors had signs that said like accepting EBT or whatever. And I mean, it certainly wasn't family friendly. There were, people grinding on each other. There were some zesty men grinding on each other. It was definitely sexual in some parts. There also was a reference to Bad Bunny's Grammy acceptance, and they didn't say anything about ICE, so a lot of people lost bets on that. But it was definitely politically charged. There's no denying that.
The other layered one that I saw was that they used the original Puerto Rican flag, which includes a lighter shade of blue that is typically associated with sovereignty and political independence. The darker blue triangle is considered to be a symbol of Puerto Rico's status as a U.S. territory. Also, apparently the power line aspect of the performance was politically charged, referencing their power grid and its frequent outages. The island's outages have worsened over the last several years with privatization. So it would be better off if it was done by the government. Oh, Mike, we lost your mic there. You're going to have to go in and get the mic fixed. Don't worry, guys. She'll get it fixed here in a second. The other one that I thought was really interesting here, beyond the fact that they talk about the performance at the end, which is when he says, "God bless America." I see somebody in the chat mention that he says United States of America.
Back.
You good? Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
Continue.
Sorry about that.
Continue. That's okay.
No, what were you saying about
well, the flag part at the end was the other one that I think most people noticed right away. And the first thing I thought about was like those slogans don't work anymore. The slogans of it's like, remember when the last time this was novel was when people face painted "no hate" on their cheek. Remember that?
Yeah.
That was like the last time sloganeering was novel.
You mean during BLM?
No. This was years before that. This was in like the early 2010s that people were putting "no hate" on their cheeks.
What was that supposed to be about?
I think it was about gay rights.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't remember that. I remember the girl on TikTok with the BLM fist on her face.
Oh, that was the most over the top. We got a 20 here from Shane H. Wilder. He says, "I watched both and didn't like either. Kid Rock singing Ba Wada Ba as if at a family show that was shown on TBN was cringe. Bad Bunny grabbing his junk like he's got crabs. The dudes grinding against each other, etc. was also disgusting."
Yeah, that was too much. I did just want to mention before we talk about the Turning Point show that the Paul brothers were kind of beefing over Bad Bunny halftime show. So I was under the impression they were a united front at first because Logan Paul was asked on the red carpet if he was excited for Bad Bunny's show, and he said no. And then Jake Paul tweeted out, "Purposefully turning off the halftime show. Let's rally together and show big corporations they can't just do whatever they want without consequences, which equals viewership for them. You are their benefit. Realize you have power. Turn off the halftime. A fake American citizen performing who publicly hates America. I cannot support that."
Here's the low IQ response. "You're married to a Dutch speed skater. What are you talking?"
Or they also were pointing out that Jake Paul lives in Puerto Rico and that Bad Bunny is a real American citizen. Correct. But that wasn't really what he was referring to when he clarified. Logan then responded and said, "I love my brother, but I don't agree with this. Puerto Ricans are Americans, and I'm happy they were given the opportunity to showcase the talent that comes from their island." And then Jake clarified, saying, "I wasn't calling anyone a fake citizen because they're from Puerto Rico. I've used my platform to support Puerto Rico time and time again. But if you're publicly criticizing ICE who are doing their job and openly hating on America, I'm going to speak on it. That's the same reason I called out Hunter Hess. If you benefit from a country and the platform it gives you, but publicly disrespect it at the same time, that's what I mean by being a fake citizen. And I agree that love is more powerful than hate. And then spaghetti started falling out of his pockets, and he was like trying so hard to get people's favor back. And it was like really confusing people that the guy who filmed a dead body in the suicide forest was suddenly the good guy in this confrontation.
Or maybe Logan Paul is gearing up. No, see if this had gone the other way around and Logan Paul had been the one who criticized it, I might think that this was a build up to a match, given the fact that Logan Paul is in WWE and Bad Bunny has himself also wrestled in WWE, is actually one of the better, celebrity performers.
Yeah, I mean, nobody even remembers their past controversies at this point. I did see some possibly false reports about the Bad Bunny show. Some people saying that he was performing extremely vulgar sexual lyrics,
which we will not read to you.
Yeah, I can't even. I would be like full on Ben Shapiro reading the lyrics to WAP if I dictated the lyrics to you right now. But Liz Wheeler,
we got a 20 here from No Control, says Merry Monday. Merry ERRY, Merry ARY Monday.
No one's marrying me today. I'm sorry to disappoint. But she said these are the lyrics.
ERY, not ARY.
Oh, it's that I'm happy?
Yes.
Oh, I see. Yeah. I see. She said these are the lyrics that were sung during Bad Bunny's halftime show. As a Muppet, that she was speaking to Elmo, as a Muppet that speaks to small children, you think this is amazing, Elmo? And some people were quick to point out that actually Kid Rock, in his performance, he was, also singing some vulgar, not family-friendly lyrics. Mm-hmm. And then that brought some criticism from the Christian conservative target demographic of the Turning Point halftime show, saying, this was supposed to be family friendly. This was supposed to be wholesome. You ruined it. You had this big opportunity to provide an alternative, and it wasn't what you sold it to be. However, they did this thing when Kid Rock came on stage where he performed like half of that song. What was it? Ba Wada Ba?
Yeah. It's very hard to say that song name without feeling ridiculous, but yes.
And then the lights went out and they brought out like a string performance that was also like fake. They weren't actually performing it live. And then he came out with a costume change and sang about Jesus all of a sudden. And that was supposed to be some sort of like representation of a
transformation.
A redemption arc on his part. And he was singing about, encouraging people to read their Bibles and follow Christ. So I guess that was the redemption story in his performance.
He could have at least sang the song American Badass. It's the all-American halftime show.
There were many missed opportunities here. And I do think that Turning Point has the funding to do something better than what they presented. It was pre-taped in Atlanta, according to some reports, like last week, and none of it was live. And then Kid Rock's performance was very obviously lip-synced. He was taking the microphone down and the lyrics were still being played, and it was not even like they were trying to hide the lip-syncing aspect of it. And on top of that, it was like missing all of the essential parts that we see as the halftime show. Like it wasn't a medley. It was full performances of songs. It was 35 minutes long, which was about 20 minutes longer than Bad Bunny's performance. So it literally cut into the game time. And there were no dancers. There was no set changing. And the messaging in the Turning Point halftime show was just as, if not more, on the nose than the Bad Bunny one.
Yeah.
There was a performance by Lee Brice, who is another artist I hadn't heard of on the lineup, where he was at one point in his song talking about like telling his daughter that like little boys can't be little girls. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like stop. Yeah. This is just not like something that people want to be reminded of when they're trying to see an entertaining performance
like
in the middle of a football game. Like,
you're not propagandaing well. Like,
yeah,
I make the joke all the time. I'm like, I don't care if it's propaganda. Just make it good propaganda, will you? It's my job to discern the two. It's your job to make it easy to go down.
And then I thought, like, what would be my ideal Turning Point halftime show lineup? I think you have to assume that they did reach out to a ton of artists who turned them down.
I think me and you both had the same suggestions too.
It should have included Carrie Underwood in an ideal world.
And then oddly enough,
doing like her song about veterans.
Yeah.
I think it was "See You Again." Like, she should have done that, and then like
Jason Aldean?
like Jason Aldean, or maybe some other country artist that is more like famous in the mainstream, and then like do an actual medley performance, because it was like the full song being performed every time, and it ran so long, and it was just dreadful.
Yeah, I said, oddly enough, I think that Carrie Underwood doing the show now would be more politicized than on Inauguration Day or whenever it was that she did that, because it feels like, first of all, that was still post-Trump's the assassination attempt, and it felt like we were in a more neutral place somehow, politically, but that was before Charlie Kirk was assassinated and before what's going on with ICE being the current political issue. It seems like it would actually be more politicized now to perform for Turning Point than it would have been, say, after the election.
Yeah, I did think, like, if the inauguration isn't too political for you, I don't see why the Turning Point show would be, but I see that the climate has changed significantly, and by its own nature, it's reactionary. Like, the Turning Point show is a reactionary performance.
I think
that
that's
is anti-mainstream.
So that's my other critique of it, and I don't want them to misinterpret what I'm saying. They've now given a proof of concept that you could do this every year, because I think they drew right now on the YouTube channel for Turning Point USA. There's about, let me see if I can pull it up here. There's about 20 million views on there. That's a lot. Now, people have had their whole discussions about whether these were botted, what was going on, why was the chat moving the way it was moving. I'm not interested in that. Like, I haven't looked into that. If I'm gonna take them on their word here, say that there was no botting, there's 20 million views here. You add another 5 to 8 million on Rumble, so you got a lot of people looking at your show here. Next year, if you want to truly prove that it works, it cannot be reactionary, meaning that you need to announce this show before whoever they announce for next year's show.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, it could still be reactionary. You could just be ahead of the curve. You're likely going to have a problem with whoever they announce for 2027. Let's face it.
Right.
But you need to do it for your own sake and not to counter signal something else if you want to make meaningful change.
Right. This is just another example of the right can't art.
Yes.
And the right, like, had meme culture on lock for a long time, but they still have a long way to go in terms of cultural. Thank you.
Actually, it would be funny in the chat. Somebody's like, not if the NFL got Jason Aldean and Carrie Underwood. If they announced theirs and then they got like...
Ooh, that would be tough. But look, it is true, as Walsh pointed out, that ever since Jay-Z took over the halftime shows, I guarantee you a white person is never going to headline the halftime show again. Like, that is pointedly a decision that he made. And it's been that way for 7 years now.
All right, let's move on. We've got more stuff to get into. Doja Cat.
Yeah. In a now deleted video on TikTok, Doja Cat issued a public service announcement to her fellow celebrity friends, telling them basically to shut the F up. And they're just disclosing too much. They're explaining too much. They are offering too much of themselves to the world. We're going to show you the video, but I need to warn you ahead of time that for most of it, she is chewing on mango or like pineapple or whatever the hell she's eating in this video.
We got a 20 here. Before we do that, we got a 20 here from Shane H. Wilder. He says, I thought the Turning Point show was not in front of a live audience at first because of all the applause at the beginning, cut off hard. Turns out it was just someone killing the audience reaction mic instead of fading it. Okay, I don't know about that, but
There wasn't a lot of visibility of the audience in their stream.
all right. So let's go ahead and play this clip. Here we go.
See if we
guys.
can sit through this.
Here we go.
This is a public service announcement.
This is most of the video, by the way.
If you're
I like her angle choice, by the way. This is how I'm going to start doing PCC. I'm going to move the camera down here.
It's very flattering.
I think my chin is one of my better features.
Mm-hmm.
She is hungry.
See if you can get it out, Doja.
if you're a celebrity, shut the fuck up. Nobody wants to hear your fucking shit. Be mysterious. Stop letting people in on your life. Have more mystique. The more they see of you, the less they'll want.
And the rest of the video is just her eating more mango.
I think it's a troll. She's a troll. I think it's a troll. She's like, how can I make a joke out of what I'm saying? I know, I'll make people watch me eat mango while telling them to not look at celebrities or telling celebrities to not be so public.
Well, I thought it was ironic at first for Doja to deliver this message because she is constantly shitposting on TikTok. But I think shitposting and just like posting memes of yourself is a lot different than doing a bunch of tell-all interviews and, constantly drumming up controversy. She doesn't really do much of that. She's not really asking the public to take her seriously all the time. And many people misinterpreted this video as her telling celebrities not to speak on politics.
Oh, they didn't misinterpret it. That's just framing to benefit your own side. Sorry, I don't buy for a second that it has anything to do with misinterpreting it. I think that's bad actors being like, you know what? I always liked Doja Cat. She's one of the, I like her.
Well, I mean, I saw more from the left, people saying that she was discouraging fellow celebrities from speaking on politics, which would be incredibly hypocritical if that's what she meant by it, because she has spoken on politics quite frequently. One response said, the timing being ICE and the Epstein files, girl, F you and your mystique. Another one said, tell celebrities to shut up when now more than ever, it's crucial for them to use their platforms against Trump's fascism.
Has there ever been a time where somebody's come out and been like, now is a good time to be less involved? I have officially denounced the idea that you need to be involved and you need to use your voice. Now is an okay time to not be involved. Nobody ever says that.
That's never going to happen. I mean, the closest we got to that was Jelly Roll's embarrassing statement about being a dumb redneck.
Yeah.
Another one was defending her, saying that she's talking about celebrities who do coke rants on Twitter and not about ICE. She literally reposts against ICE on TikTok. And that is true. I think that this is being misinterpreted as a shady post about Billie Eilish, when in reality, it's throwing shade at Nicki Minaj. Because if there's any celebrity known for going on coke rants on Twitter, it's Nicki Minaj. Although she is getting very politically outspoken lately, it's more about the constant self-disclosure and desperation for attention that she is decrying here. Another fan of hers said that Doja is anti-ICE, supports Palestine, the Congo, Ukraine, Sudan, is a Kamala supporter. This has nothing to do with politics, so stop finding ways to misrepresent what she is obviously talking about.
I'm all in for her
clinically deluded.
I'm all in for her being on board supporting the Congo and Sudan, because those are the hipster causes of political activism today. That's up there in line with like the Macklemore talked about like the Congo, because he's not just talking about mainstream politics. He's got to get you in on all of the other activist causes there ought to talk about. I appreciate that.
Another Doja hater said this is basically hide how shitty of a person you are so you can manipulate people into liking you and giving you money.
Who is that?
And when I saw that, I was like, is that not what all celebrities do? They speak out on politics mainly to hide that they are shitty people behind the scenes in order to manipulate their audience into thinking that they're virtuous.
Who is the streamer that keeps getting canceled right now because they asked her to talk about ICE and she's like, yeah, I don't know about all that.
Oh, it was the same girl who got ambushed
Emaru?
at the TwitchCon.
I don't remember how to pronounce. I don't remember how to pronounce her name. But she's and then she had to come out and make a statement about it because she got canceled because you're not.
Yeah,
allowed
she
to...
said like, why are you looking to Twitch streamers to give you your political opinions or whatever? And like everybody just dragged her for saying that, but it's true.
Yep.
And they were like, you know, they were right to distinguish. We're not asking you to give us our political beliefs. We're asking you to comply with our demands. Like, that's obviously what was going on there. But, I mean, good on her for standing her ground, at least.
Yep.
But I think that Doja is pointing out a big problem with celebrity culture right now, which is the faux relatability crisis. Like, they're always trying to come off as relatable and exposing embarrassing information about themselves in a self-deprecating manner that destroys all sense of mystery that celebrities once had. And I mean, you could interpret this as her telling people to take the Sydney Sweeney approach and just stop answering questions, just put out your work and let it stand on its own. But I'm sure she wouldn't like Sydney Sweeney's approach either.
Yeah. I mean,
and then there were a ton of replies also saying, oh, the chick who was in racial chat rooms showing feet is going to give us a crash course on how to be mysterious.
She also have like a Sam Hyde shirt on at some point.
Yeah, that was also being trotted out. It is something I had to look into to confirm. And Doja Cat was involved in a controversy in 2020 when a video surfaced of her in a tiny chat room that was associated with alt-right and white supremacist communities. In the video, she was seen rolling around on a bed while saying the N-word, leading to widespread backlash. The incident was famously summarized by rapper Noor, who tweeted in racial chat rooms showing feet, highlighting the inappropriateness of her presence in such online spaces. And despite the controversy, Doja Cat denied being associated with racist ideologies and called the labeling of her friends as white supremacists effing stupid. She's also faced criticism for past use of homophobic slurs and her associations with controversial figures like her former partner, Jay Cyrus, and comedian Sam Hyde, whose image she wore on a t-shirt in 2023. And a lot of people tried to defend her from these allegations because she seems like unlike most celebrities to have kind of fallen into fame almost accidentally. Like, she was basically a shit poster for the beginning of her career. And that was where people found that video of her in a cow costume saying, "Bitch, I'm a cow." Like, that was literally just a meme, and that was how she blew up as an artist.
But then there was she left
like a child of the internet.
She like left a tour early because she's like, I'm not getting respected or something. Remember that? Like, we covered it like last year.
Well, she was like fed up with basically like her fans swarming outside of her hotel room and expecting her to come out and take photos and sign things for them. She really doesn't like the parasocial relationship that celebrities and public figures maintain with their fan bases. Like, she has actively tried to alienate her own fans by saying like, we're not friends, I don't owe you anything. And it's not the same approach that most celebrities have, where they're like always telling their audience that like they love them and that they're like a community. She's very much pushed back against that because she just wants to put out music and let it speak for itself.
When you embrace that idea of like, I love you guys all, we're a community, the the hard part for them is like you've reached such a size that it's patently impossible because people from all walks of life are going to fall into your music, and then a lot more is expected of you when you do that from them, as opposed to being the type of artist who just puts out their work, and if people like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. But when you make it all about, but that's most of what these types of fan bases are now. Everything's fandom. Everything's a community, not just what the real world is, which is just different consumers who choose to engage with a specific product because that's what she is. She's a product.
I mean, overall, I do agree with her take here. Divorced from politics entirely. I don't think that celebrities should get into online back and forths with stan accounts. I don't think they should really address controversies. I don't think they should sit down for just distastefully overexposing interviews where they reveal too much of their true personalities. It's better to just be a persona and put on the mask that you need to put on to perform instead of just like shattering the illusion.
I mean, but the thing is that worked a lot easier back in the day when you literally were just a product that was sold. Now your private life is part of that product that gets sold to the public.
Yeah, this is why we were talking about like the downfall of celebrity interviews and how like they go on all of these podcasts now where it's like it's designed to be parasocial. Like it's designed to feel like you're in the room with them and you're queening out together and they're telling embarrassing stories about their lives, and it's just like too much. They're revealing too much.
All right. What would you like to see? Cringe or cute of the day?
Let's see the cute first.
Okay. All right. This one here is from Frida Donnelly. It says, this is Scout. He's our sweet stray Christmas present that we rescued off the streets on Christmas Eve. He's learning and progressing every day and is a very good boy. He likes handmade sweaters, his froggy, cuddles with goodnight prayers, truck rides, and beef jerky.
Wait, where's Scout?
Scout.
Oh, I see him now.
Scout. It's a very cute dog. Oh.
That's a very Hallmark movie origin story.
That's a very good picture right there. He's kind of Morgan. I like
very
it.
Cute.
It's a very cute dog. All right. Remember, guys, if you want to submit your pets for Cute of the Day, you can tag me on X at Brett Dasovic on the platform. Use the hashtag PCCPets. I don't know if I was told hashtags don't work anymore, but you can still use them. But tag me in there, and we feature your pets. Everybody likes to brag about their pets. Here we go. Cringe of the Day. It says, making white women pay for my black girlfriend's Skims for Black History Month. Reparations.
Yeah.
Here we go.
How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Super good. Just about to buy some Skims.
Okay.
Yeah,
Have you
yeah.
talked with us online?
I haven't. This is the first time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. And what's your phone number?
773. Actually, I'm gonna have this white woman behind me buy it for Black History Month.
Wait, I'm trying to see something. I'm trying to see something.
Okay.
Yeah, happy to do it. I've got you.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely,
Yes,
absolutely.
thank you.
Of course. Hi, so 773.
Wait, I'm trying to see something. I'm trying to see something.
Thank you. And then you can just tap on the screen.
Oh, thank you so.
Perfect,
Thank you so much.
Gosh, you're very welcome.
Wait, I'm trying to see something. I'm trying.
Says one of the good ones.
Happy Black History Month. I mean, that had to take place in LA. You just know.
Yeah.
And she felt so good about herself after the fact.
But the thing is, like, that's the upscale.
She felt like Mother Teresa.
The upscale store is your demographic there to do that at,
Yeah.
right? Like, you don't do that at the Dollar Tree.
Bored, affluent white woman at the luxury store was just like desperate to feel like a martyr that day.
Look, Martin Luther King is pumped. Let's go. That was good.
We finally reached racial harmony.
It's about time.
Isn't it great?
All right. Let's move on. We've got more stuff to get
Yeah.
into, guys.
I guess it's kind of a huge moment for like global entertainment because we just had the Super Bowl and now the Olympics have commenced as of the Friday opening ceremony for the Winter Olympics in Milan, Italy. This took place at the San Siro Stadium in Milan, and it was immediately incredibly controversial. First of all, because of protests outside of the event that are, as far as I could gather, against different countries that are participating in the Olympics. Also, protests by the Italians who feel this is contributing to the affordability crisis in their country.
Kind of like Jeff Bezos at his wedding.
Yeah, like the protesters in Venice. It's same exact vibe. So there were protests taking place outside. And on top of that, of course, the conspiracy theorists on X were quick to point out what they see as satanic symbolism in the opening ceremony. And I would say this pales in comparison to what we saw at the Olympic ceremony last year in France. I mean, the French are going to outdo you when it comes to weirdness, no matter what you do. This was, as you would recall, the Last Supper parody with a bunch of trans and cross-dressing performers in the style of the Last Supper, and it was incredibly blasphemous, and I think people were right to point out that it was satanic in nature. However, this time around, we're in murkier territory. People aren't sure what to make of this, but you can see in that photo, there is some interesting symbology at play here, and what people saw here in the highlighted color is a pentagram. This is just a 5-pointed star inside a circle. That's what you would immediately assume. But according to the designers behind the ceremony, it was nothing intended to be satanic or occult in nature. And it was described as the result of a project by Marco Balic in collaboration with Lita Castelli and Paolo Fantin. And the cauldrons that were being lit in Milan and Cortina were powerful symbols of harmony between the two host cities and the territories of the widespread games, recalling the genius of Leonardo da Vinci and his famous knots, geometric interlacing symbolizing the harmony between nature and human ingenuity. This was, as they put it, a tribute to Leonardo da Vinci and his historic connection with Milan, a city that stands as a symbol of creativity and innovation. And they also highlighted the symbolism of inclusivity that they wanted to highlight this time. Basically, they're denying the allegation that this is satanic, but that didn't stop anyone from posting things like this. Benny Johnson said, "They're not even hiding it anymore. Put on the full armor of God." Another post said, "Satanic symbolism at the Olympics. When will we overthrow the rule of pedophiles and Satanists?" Another one said, "They're rubbing it in our faces. They're not even hiding it anymore." And someone did come in to point out that this, does reflect the sketches by Leonardo da Vinci that have these interlacing geometric patterns. You can see the inspiration there, but I did think that counter argument is questionable because they did highlight the 5-pointed star inside that pattern. So there is definitely intentionality in every piece of the ceremony. It's not entirely clear what they intended. But I mean, they don't just throw these things together at the last minute. Like
yes, everything
hundreds of people involved in this.
Hundreds of thousands of man hours go into making up what you're going to see on screen. I can't help it though. I have conspiracy fatigue.
I agree.
I saw the video on Friday of the Savannah Guthrie video, and people were pointing out where they said they thought she had 6 fingers on one hand, and it's just very clearly her holding her sister's hand. I can't right now. I can't anymore. I don't have it in me. I don't.
There was also a performer in the ceremony who at one point covered one eye like this, which a lot of people thought was some sort of occult Illuminati reference, but according to a piece that reviewed the ceremony, they claimed this pair of dancers in angel wings were reenacting the neoclassical sculpture Psyche Revived by Cupid's Kiss, which was created about 100 years before the invention of the light bulb. And they were trying to say that unlike many more recent Olympic ceremonies that are basically light displays, this was intended to sort of revive tradition and look back at history. And there were, Roman centurions, there were references to classical art. It was mostly classical music instead of techno. So theoretically, you would think that conservatives would be all about it, but they thought that it was a display of the Satanist pedophiles who run the world, rubbing it in our faces that they are still in power, I guess. I don't know how the people dressed up as espresso makers fit into that plan, but they were also at the ceremony. That just multicolored espresso makers dancing around on stage.
Look,
like the proper response to the ceremony, if you don't like it, should be mocking it, not taking it seriously. Right.
It's like, so is this like their version of beef jerky in the Epstein files? Does espresso maker stand for something truly sinister?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't square that circle for you. The official Olympics website also described the ceremony, saying that the multiple cauldrons that they were lighting pay homage to the sun as the primary source of life, energy, and renewal. For centuries, a universal emblem of continuity and rebirth, the flame now becomes the heart of a creation designed for the future. The design draws inspiration from the genius of Leonardo da Vinci. They say this is made of aeronautical aluminum, among the lightest and most resistant metals. The cauldrons are dynamic structures that generate an opening and closing movement, bearing witness to the continuity of time and the natural alternation between day and night.
Yeah, it said
designed to expand and contract, they reveal and safeguard the preciousness of the flame like a casket.
Yeah, they said the cauldron's unique design is inspired by the sun as a source of light and energy.
Which, I mean, sounds like vaguely neo-pagan, but I don't know. I can't possibly explain the thought process of these artists. And it was done by Balik Wonder Studios, which has done ceremonies and entertainment for both the Olympics and plenty of other sports broadcasts all over the world. So it's not like anything that we could compare to the Olympic ceremony of last year, which I think was a brazen display of anti-Christian blasphemy. And they did own that after the fact when they were receiving backlash. The performers and designers behind the Olympic ceremony in 2025 fully stood on business about it being a parody of the Last Supper and of Jesus. This is just not as cut and dry as it was last year. And I think that people are reaching, and it's getting to the point where, as you said, it's really giving everyone conspiracy fatigue.
It is. I mean, I see some people I saw somebody push back in the chat with me about that, but I have fatigue when it comes to this stuff.
There's another conspiracy that JD Vance was booed when he was introduced at the opening ceremony in Milan. But then you look at the video and you can't hear anyone booing. They're just concocting another fake narrative.
This happens every time Trump or JD Vance go to any type of sporting event, which is that there are boos, but there are also cheers, and it's literally like it's some type of weird postmodern deconstruction. You can decide which one you hear more of based on how you feel about the person. I also saw people saying that there was audible boos when Israel came out, and then anybody posting videos of it got copyright claimed and struck on YouTube.
Well, I believe that. Yeah. I mean, look, you guys know me. I love a good satanic panic if there's something to panic about, but I'm just not so sure in this case. I agree with the people who, pointed out that, of course, the pentagram shape was highlighted in a different color than the rest of the geometric design. That's the only like thread of truth in all of this, though.
Mm-hmm.
The rest
What's
of it,
that?
I'm not picking up what they're putting down.
What's the is it an A24 movie this year that's coming out called like Psycho Killers, and it's about like the satanic panic and stuff like that. That sounds more interesting than whatever this is.
Is it set in the 90s or?
I don't know. I saw the trailer for it when we went to see Shelter.
What's the deal? Like, what is it about?
Seemed like it was about like a group of like a satanic panic, like like as if all the stuff with the satanic panic was debunked or whatever. Like it's that, but if it was like 100% real and there was cults killing people or something like that.
Yeah,
doesn't interest me one iota, but it would interest me more than this.
Point is, get
Tom Hanks on the case, like with Angels and Demons and the Da Vinci Code. Get Tom Hanks on the case, and we'll let him report back.
Yeah, I mean, we'll expand on this probably later in the show when we get into Bianca Censori. But the point is, like, artists are weirdos. They're always going to do weird shit. It doesn't necessarily mean that there is a top-down conspiracy to humiliate you. Like, it's not a humiliation ritual every time that someone does something humiliating. Sometimes people do humiliating things because they have no self-respect. Sometimes weirdos are just weirdos. No one's telling them to be weird. They're just weird.
Yep. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Clavicular.
Yeah, so Clavicular is still on his generational run after running someone over in his Tesla, and it's catching up to him. All of his chaotic behavior is catching up to him, and I fear for this man. He has now been arrested, and I don't know if it's the first time, but he was criminally charged with 2 felonies for forgery and possession of dangerous drugs. He faces potentially 8 years in prison for both of these charges. He went to jail over the weekend in Arizona, I believe, because he's been trolling around the Arizona State University campus and streaming the entire thing. And the felonies that they're referring to there relate to a fake ID and non-prescription Adderall that he had on his person, which surprises absolutely no one, given that he's already admitted to doing recreational meth. So that's what got him thrown in jail. The mugshot has already been published. That's the mugshot. There is an AI one that's going around too, but this is the real version.
His hair kind of mogs for a mugshot. It's pretty good.
You were calling it the Mog shot?
I didn't say that.
I think you called it a Mog shot.
No, I did not say that. I said Mog slaughter.
Mog slaughter?
Instead of manslaughter. Mog
he was
slaughter.
convicted of 3rd-degree Mog slaughter.
He's Mog.
And
Mog shot is great, though. Whoever came up with Mog shot is good.
Although Clav was let out with $0 in bail, he said on Twitter after the fact, getting a $25,000 bond and 2 felony charges for being inside of a bar is insane. Straight up political persecution.
What are his politics other than JD Vance won't be president because he's fat?
What is political about any of this, dude? Yeah. And to be clear, he wasn't just engaging in these behaviors on stream. He was also filming other people doing things on stream that would potentially ruin their lives if this were to get out. Over 15 sorority members at ASU who he streamed with were reportedly dropped by their sororities after appearing on his stream using racial slurs, one of them flashing a bag of cocaine in the camera, exposing hazing rituals, discussing their body counts, and talking about drug use.
Shocking.
So all of these people are just voluntarily ruining their own lives by broadcasting this behavior to thousands of people. Mm-hmm. And we're supposed to be surprised that it ended in this ugly way. But that it didn't stop there. I think what's more tragic than his arrest is that he got brutally frame mogged by a frat leader at ASU, as you can see here.
Yep.
This guy showed up in Clav's stream and frame mogged him, which, if you didn't know, if you're a true alpha male of group, an AMOG, you can't let anyone destroy your frame. You have to maintain frame at all times. And when this guy showed up on Clav's stream and mogged him, he shattered Clav's frame. And someone said that they took a break from analyzing footage of ICE shootings to examine this video of the ASU frat leader frame mogging Clav. It's shocking. The mogging appears to have been premeditated.
I mean,
another one said,
though,
if you're 25 to 30 and your main circle isn't discussing Clavicular running into a frat leader at ASU and getting brutally frame mogged by him, then it's time to find a new circle. Your network is your net worth.
The problem is like when you're live all the time, you can't just in the old days, the celebrity would make sure that nobody could upstage them by having them cut out.
Right.
Now when you're live, you don't have that option. You got to be on your game all the time. You got to have like a bouncer sitting on the outside of the frame of the video, making sure nobody can get in there that's going to make you look like that.
Yeah, IRL streaming kind of requires you to surrender control in a lot of ways, because you're streaming for like 8 hours at a minimum straight and letting people in to watch everything the entire time. Like it doesn't just come with like embarrassing moments. It comes with moments that could get you imprisoned, allegedly. Like that's possible if he actually does have to go to court for this.
Well, didn't he get off his charge with where he like hit the dude with the Cybertruck or whatever?
I don't know. I mean, I guess so. If he didn't kill the guy,
yeah.
I haven't followed on that story.
The thing is, when you aura max like that, you can often get off on those charges. That way they're like, look, your aura's too strong. We're not going to charge you.
This could be what lands him behind bars, though, for a longer period of time. And shortly before getting arrested, there was also a clip from his stream where Clav hit the gym for the first time in months after coming off of supplements. He was struggling to rep 70 pounds on chest flies. And I'm not a gym bro. I don't really know how all of this stuff works, but people were shocked that he wasn't able to lift such a small amount of weight because he's on drugs and he's mainly on steroids that make him look like he's at like peak levels of fitness, when in reality he's like destroying his body chemistry. And I just feel like this kid is doomed. Like we're watching his downfall in real time and there's nothing we can do to stop it. But I guess those are the sacrifices you have to make.
No, it's actually kind of crazy. I was looking at a picture of him. I said he kind of looks like in weird photos, not these here, like a different version of Ryan Phillippe. And I was like, if you can't even pull it off, when Ryan Phillippe likely didn't have to like beat his own face with a mallet to look like that, right? Like he didn't have to do that, then you're kind of already losing.
Yeah, there are all these clips also of Clav's stream that are just the most utterly banal interactions with bystanders, and then the only reason why I bring it up is because the captions of these clips are so insane. This one says, Clavicular almost caught a career-ending cortisol spike after a LARP max Stacy tried jesterfying him on stream by calling him a good boy while he was mid-mog between two low-tier normies at ASU.
Somebody in the chat said, Brett, you're in your 30s, don't say aura. I was clearly joking, and the reason for that is that anytime these topics come up, it's because you never have any clue what the fuck they're saying.
I understood like 70% of that.
I mean, that's high though, but you're also younger.
Like that caption compared with this is the clip.
Yeah, 100%, man.
Bro, you don't understand. All my like guy friends like look smacks and they like talk about you every single fucking day. Like you don't understand.
Really?
Yes.
That's funny.
Can you say hi to my friend?
What's up, friend? How are you?
Good boy.
The fuck is wrong with you?
Good boy.
Love you.
Alright, fuck off.
Okay, that was extremely boring.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't understand how people sit through 10 hours of that straight. And then another clip is of Clav in a club, I think. And it says, Clavicular was mid-jester gooning when a group of foids came and spiked his cortisol levels. Is ignoring the foids while munting and mogging moids more useful than SMV chad fishing in the club?
Can you explain to me the difference between jester maxing and jester gooning? I assume one has to do with because jester gooning sounds like somebody telling jokes while masturbating.
No, it would sound like that, right? Like you would assume that, but I don't think that's what it means.
I hope not. Otherwise, there's laws against that too, and he's gonna in public.
But I think if I had to guess, jester gooning means that you are performing to impress the opposite sex.
Okay, let's
I think
listen.
that's what it means.
Let's listen.
My friend likes your cameraman. Your name likes you. What's your name? I want to eat you. Tell us your name.
Yo, W. His name is Kirk.
Kirk.
Okay, so he's getting mogged by his cameraman because they're more interested in the cameraman than they are in him. But his job here should be to wingman. That way he can come off better.
I just like see clips like this and it looks like Clav's life is not that fun.
No, I mean, granted, everybody hates him, so the stuff that comes out is always the stuff that, you know, looks like shit. But
and I also didn't know the term munting in this context, so I will just explain that here. It's on TikTok refers to a shock value fictional necrophilia related act involving two people and a recently deceased person. Should I even continue?
No.
This is really bad.
No.
It's one person places their mouth over a bodily orifice of a corpse while another jumps on the stomach, causing bodily fluids and decomposed organs to be expelled into the first person's mouth, which are then
okay. Who so does it give you like an origin of this term?
It's just referred to as TikTok slang.
Okay.
So that's all I have to explain it.
See,
really.
guys, remember, you know, like whenever like the conservatives on the internet are like kids are saying slurs again, the kids are going to be all right. The kids are in fact not going to be all right.
I don't know what that has to do with anything we just watched in that stream clip.
Nothing. The point is, it has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I guess I'm just becoming unk because I don't understand this.
That's okay.
And then SMV Chad fishing would be sexual market value Chad fishing. So you're catfishing as a Chad and like overselling your sexual marketplace value.
I guess so.
In the club with the huzz.
We're gonna have to get Tate on as like a guest, as like a guest commentator to more accurately describe the stuff.
Yeah, I need a full like PowerPoint presentation to explain what any of this means. We're seeing real time the devolution of the English language, but you know what? I think that really the point I wanted to make is just that Clav doesn't seem like he's ever having a good time. Like he always looks low-key depressed and bored.
He always kind of looks like generically monotone and like Eeyore.
Right. Like, yeah, he just seems like an unhappy
there's all
person,
these,
but I guess he doesn't do anything he does in order to get high.
There's like a trope of like the celebrity who starts off from humble beginnings and gets famous, and they have like a come to Jesus moment at a nightclub where the vapidness of everything kind of washes over them, and they go like this, like, that's how he feels like all the time.
Yeah, and I think like given that he's only 19 or 20 right now, his come to Jesus moment he's speed running it, but it hasn't happened yet. Like he hasn't hit that point in his life yet. I think once he ages out to the point where he goes to a college campus and he's significantly older than all of the students there, then he's going to start feeling like this is not a return on investment anymore.
Katie in the chat might have a point. He can't smile. He'll get wrinkles and age. That might be it.
True.
Stay away from smiling.
He's just preventing wrinkles, of course.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Bianca Censori.
So it was just a week or two ago that Ye, formerly known as Kanye West, issued his official public apology and explanation for his erratic behavior over the last several years. And according to his explanation, it's because of bipolar disorder symptoms that were unchecked after a traumatic car accident that he suffered. And he was, by his own account, in a totally divorced mental state from reality and hyper fixated on concepts like race and anti-Semitism. That's not actually that hard to believe. There were a lot of people who actually are diagnosed with bipolar disorder who responded to his statement and said that this is completely possible for someone who suffers from this disorder, that you will hyperfixate on a certain concept or paranoia or maybe a fantasy that is totally detached from reality, and there's no real explanation as to why. And a lot of people thought it was the most sincere apology they've ever seen from a public figure in recent years. So he put this statement out into the world, which kind of took the thunder away from his wife, Bianca. Bianca Censori just did her very first public interview with Vanity Fair, and it was her chance to have the spotlight and explain her erratic behavior, which is basically her obsession with nudity.
But the point
she has
is
been appearing in public basically without clothing for years at this point, and nobody was understanding why. And it now has the big reveal that it was all performance art.
It wasn't erratic at all.
Performance art project.
It wasn't erratic at all. It was planned.
Yes. Yeah. It appeared that to many people that she was being forced actually to go out in public in these humiliating costumes and expose herself to the world in a humiliating way. A lot of people thought that Ye was forcing her to do this and that he was orchestrating the entire thing. But according to this tell-all interview, Bianca actually is the one who has been in the driver's seat the entire time. And it was a performance art piece that she came up with all on her own. And she collaborated with different artists to make this happen. And it's a project that she calls Biopop. And this is like where you jump the shark for me. With like I will never understand artists. And I mean, first of all, I think calling this art is a misnomer to begin with. But also like creative types just like annoy the hell out of me for this exact reason. So in this interview, she explained to the journalist, I had an obvious obsession with nudity. I was naked everywhere. I didn't detach with it at any point. I consistently showed the same imagery over and over and over again. I live my artwork.
But that's not what I was being told. I was being told by feminists online, look at her face. She's clearly terrified. She's only doing this because Kanye is voyeuristically making her do this. There's no other possible explanation other than abuse. I brought this up the other week. I think it was when Colonel Kurtz was on, when we talked about Kanye's like apology. I was like, what role does she play in this? Because for the last year, they've been telling me that he was abusing her and he was telling her how to behave and how to act, when what we're really seeing was he was going through a psychotic break. And what role does his wife play in ensuring his mental safety during a psychotic break? Is there some blame to go around?
Yeah, the narrative for so long now has been that Bianca is a victim in all of this and that she is being controlled and puppeteered by Ye, who, has given her all of her fame and relevance and wealth. But she did this interview to dispel those rumors that she is an abuse victim. And she said very clearly, I wouldn't be doing something I didn't want to do. Me and my husband would work on my outfits together, so it was like a collaboration. It was never that I was being told to do something. If you were married to Gianni Versace, wouldn't he give you a dress or something?
I love the comparison.
So now, if you're working on your outfits together, how does that make sense if you're wearing nothing? Because I don't think wearing nothing is an outfit.
Quick plan, doesn't take a lot of work.
And then it culminated, of course, in this hugely controversial appearance at the Grammys in 2024, I believe, where they went out on the red carpet and Bianca was wearing this coat, dropped it to the floor, and she at least appeared to be wearing absolutely nothing. in front of the paparazzi. And I mean, not that it makes much difference, but they did clarify that she was wearing the same type of fabric that actors and actresses wear in sex scenes, that it just like drapes over them and on camera looks like there's nothing there, but there was a very sheer fabric that she was wearing. But I have no patience for the self-indulgent way that artists and creative types talk about themselves and their creative process and all of the thought and work that goes into it. They explain in this piece that she also concluded Biopop with an art exhibition in Korea where for 15 minutes she is on a stage in front of a live audience, and she starts out in this red latex bodysuit, and she starts messing around with a bunch of different like ingredients in a kitchen, like a fake fabricated kitchen. And she's very painstakingly making sure there's just the right amount of this ingredient, and she's adding it to the bowl, and she's doing this for like 5 minutes straight. Then she picks up the bowl, places it in an oven, closes the oven, and then she opens it again and takes out a cake. But the cake is the same color as the bodysuit that she's wearing. So it's like kind of about how she's being consumed by the public. And it's a meta commentary on all of the imagery of Bianca Censori that's being consumed by the media, right? Because there's so many images. We're always constantly inundated with all of these images. And it must take a really unique image to make an impact on people, right? So she goes down and she sits this cake on a table, and the curtain unveils the entire kitchen. The dining room is furnished with 3D life-size replicas of Bianca's naked body that are shaped like different furniture pieces in the room. So she's up above her is a chandelier made of a replica of her naked body hanging from the ceiling. And then the table is being held up by another naked replica of her that is the legs. And then she's sitting on a chair that's made to look like her own naked body. And then she's sitting down and she eats the cake, right? And it's like a very deep, poetic take on, like, you know, being exposed to the world and being hyper visible and being a product for consumption, right? Like, it's so artistic and like, I'm sorry, I cannot take this shit seriously.
So the other thing about this is this is what I laugh about when people talk about in Hollywood. They say let the creatives create and you just pay the money for it. Imagine being the person who has to go to like whatever place is going to fund your movie and being like, and this is what it means, like in giving your elevator pitch. And if you don't believe that Hollywood creatives are the same as this type of creative, they are, you know, underneath. They're all the same type of pretentious creative, and pitching this to somebody and then asking them to give you $100 million to make it.
Yeah, I mean, technically her husband is the guy patronizing her supposed art project.
Yeah, but her husband is an artist, so it makes perfect sense. He is the example of the one who can both do the art and be the financier. But it's the other ones that I'm talking about. It's the ones who don't have the rich benefactor who's also an artist, who have to go to some dude who works at some studio and be like, and here's why it's important, and here's why we should make it. And then the guy's like, yeah, but is anybody going to go see it? Like, are we going to make any money? Like, can we turn it into merch? Can we, like, is there a way that we can actually profit off of it?
No. And I mean, ideally, yeah, we don't have to be involved in that whole process. Like, I guess it's better than claiming that this is a commercial piece to just do this as your own vanity project instead of involving the public in it. And And this is an incredibly lengthy interview that talks about her childhood and her religious beliefs and her private relationship with Ye, which she claims is totally based on love and not transactional at all. And she also goes into how she was trying to support Ye while he was crashing out in the public eye. Instead of taking the side of the people who denounced him, she was, as she put it, administering CPR on him emotionally the entire time. And she feels like they're in a codependent relationship where they're basically the same person. And they ended up
kind of are, like, in a lot of ways, like, his views are going to be transposed onto her because he has a larger platform.
Right. And then she is expected to answer for that, which she did kind of, you know, in the interview. She had to disavow anti-Semitism and, you know, distance herself from those ideologies, which Ye did as well. And I think that it was a bad decision for her to do this. Like
the interview portion?
Ideally, you would just continue being silent.
Yeah.
If your art is supposed to speak for itself, you wouldn't need to go do this highly public interview where you're explaining yourself and the whole story behind it.
In a weird way, Sydney Sweeney's approach to this seems like more of a piece of performance art than anything she's doing.
Yeah.
Like the Sydney Sweeney approach of telling stories on, in movies that seem to run counter to your public persona, that seems to run counter to your public persona as observed by a different group, while not commenting on barely any of it, or at least at the very least, the commentary you do make doesn't seem to get the public scrutiny, because when she does, she says generically feminist things that nobody on the right seems to remember or care about, because she doesn't seem to comment on the general political nature of the other stuff. Hers seems like a more interesting type of social commentary or performance art than what we're seeing here.
Yeah, although maybe if she were pressed on it, she wouldn't ever label it as such. She would never label what she does as performance art. But she did basically prove that explaining yourself is never the best option. It is always better to just stay back and let your work speak for itself. If it were really about the art and not about you, then you wouldn't need to do this huge display in the media where you tell everyone why you did it and what it means and what it says about society and about owning your sexuality and your body autonomy. It's just like, again, it defeats the whole purpose.
This level of pretentiousness is like divorced from the general public anyways.
Yeah, nobody is going to appreciate your explanation of it anyway. They're just going to think you're a hoe, which is what I think, to be clear. Now that she has fully artistically explored what it means to be consumed by the public and by the media, it appears that Bianca's next ambition is to make performance art related to the consumption of children in the media and the way that children are overexposed on social media by their parents, which I think puts her and her husband's hypocrisy on full display. Here's what she said in the interview on that subject. They asked her if she was ever thinking of starting a family with Ye, and she said, "When is it ever the right time for kids? The next installment in her art series," she says, "will be about children and how society consumes them." And Sensori's next piece reckons with the way children are presented by their parents on social media. "I don't feel right watching kids perform like that. You obviously have child labor, which is an extreme point of using children for other people's gain, but also if you have a social media account or something where you profit off of your child, where does the line get drawn for that?" She says, "I feel uncomfortable with the idea that a child becomes part of a machine. Overexposure at a young age does damage." And then they say her and Ye think about having children in a different country where there are different laws around whether paparazzi can photograph them and publish photos of them. But, you know, I saw that part of the interview and I was just like, do you hear yourself right now? Because your stepdaughter is posting her entire life at 12 years old on TikTok.
I mean, her point
and
is
now
that
is
she doesn't
embarking on a music career with the support of your husband.
I mean, how much we don't know what that power struggle is like in that relationship behind the scenes, though. We don't know how much influence Kanye has on that. Like and nobody has less influence on that than Bianca, right?
Right.
North lives permanently with Kim, right, and spends some time with Kanye, if I remember correctly, but I could be wrong about that. Like the mom has way more influence in this case, unfortunately, than her dad.
There are conflicting narratives about, whether Kanye is telling the truth when he says that Kim is keeping the kids away from him. She actually just posted on Instagram and Kanye commented, "Why are you dating Lewis? Give me back my daughter." This was literally just a couple of days ago. And then you see a headline that says, Ye is executive producing his daughter Northwest's debut album.
Yeah.
They say with the 12-year-old prepping her debut album, The Elementary School Dropout, alongside her father and executive producer Kanye West. And she's also promoting this new single called Piercing on My Hand. And the cover shows what I hope are fake piercings in her skin on her hands, all over her hands.
I saw a post about
12 years old, wearing wigs and fake eyelashes and tattoos and piercings all over her face and grills. And she is clearly a product for consumption of the public at the age of 12. And yet you're going to wax poetic and get yourself on a moral high ground in this interview about how it's so wrong for parents to expose their kids to social media.
I mean, it might have been more of a turning point for the episode if she had said, we argue about this, like me and... But she probably doesn't feel like it's her place to argue with Kanye about her stepdaughter anyways, because she probably has very little exposure to her in, compared to what him and his, and her actual mom have.
I just don't necessarily take Kanye's narrative at face value that they had all this control taken away from him as a parent, especially now. I mean, I think it's pretty clear that his daughter wants to imitate him in all the wrong ways, and he is enabling that if he is throwing his support behind her music career, and she's only 12.
Yeah. That's
incredibly hypocritical, and I thought it was hypocritical as well for Bianca to say that in the interview.
All right, let's go to Super Chats.
All right. Shane H. Wilder said, "Happy Monday, Brett and Mary. I want to thank everyone who watched/shared my mini doc this weekend. If you haven't seen it, give it a watch and let me know."
All right.
Happy Monday. Hope that's being received well. Katie said, "Hi, Brett and Mary. The Aussie hate speech laws that protect Muslims and Asian migrants have now meant I got a $100 fine. Keep your border strong, USA."
What was how did they fine you? Was it like digitally?
That's wild.
Were you like in the public square saying some crazy shit?
Well, it's definitely related to social media posts. Like, you can be prosecuted for social media posts in Australia and the UK. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, I hope that you can move to the US if you're in actual danger of getting imprisoned for speech. I think that's horrifying.
There was so Olivia got a ticket driving in DC for I think she rolled a stop sign that was blocked by trees or something, and she wrote a letter to the courts saying,
as you should.
She wrote a letter to the courts basically saying it wasn't visible and you guys care more about the money than public safety, and they're like, "We don't like your tone. You still have to pay the ticket."
Damn. I got fined, I think $300 in DC and I got it in the mail because they were checking the cameras for running a red light. I never did that. That just straight up did not happen. It must have been a situation where it was just about to turn red and they still fined me.
They rounded up.
I was so pissed.
Or in this case, rounded down.
Shane said, "Hear me out. Mary for halftime 2027, singing different strokes for different folks, beautiful things and mystical magical." She's done it before. You know what? I would take them up on that offer but honestly, I don't know if the world deserves that level of musical genius to be on full display. I don't know if we're ready for that.
Plus,
as a
how do you
culture.
follow that up? Like, what do you do after that? Like, you'd have to wait
Then
till
it would
the end
just
of the
be
world.
downhill from there for everybody.
We got a Rumble rant here from DeGrunt. Says, I'm playing catch up regarding Bad Bunny. If Bad Bunny calls all the countries one name, I guess that means Trump was right. It really is the Gulf of America.
Corey Anderson said the Google commercial with the mom and the kid. Oh, I think you read that one earlier. Adam said disappointed my Pats lost, but I watched the All-American halftime show instead of the woke one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like when you only have to choose between woke and anti-woke, the best option is just to choose neither. Like I would rather just not even watch a halftime show if those are my only options.
Yeah.
It's incredibly like just depressing that this is where we're at as a culture, that everything is attached with so much baggage,
Like,
and we can never have any escape.
no, you don't get to escape from any of it. That's the problem. It's in every aspect of your life. It's infected all of the things. But the argument to be made is that they have encroached on territory in ways that make it harder for you as an apolitical person to stay out of it. So even if you're not, right? Even if you are an apolitical person and you see the halftime show and they say God bless America, and then they're flying all of these flags, there's an argument to be made that they're encroaching on the goodwill of the people there. And then the fact that like places like Variety wrote articles that were like, it was a fantastic all-American display of shut the fuck up. That's not what it is, and you know that. It's globalist nonsense. And that's fine, but admit that what you are now, and this was the tweet that I wanted to put. I was like, you know what you can blame for this? You can blame capitalism, because the NFL's like, we've maxed out our viewership in the U.S. And the same thing's happening with WWE. They call it greed, and in a lot of ways it is. They've maxed out their viewership here in America. They're looking to appeal to other countries that can globalize their audience and bring them more money. For the WWE, it's Saudi Arabia. For the NFL, it's this halftime show. America isn't enough when you're a profit-seeking entity anymore.
And now that we know Variety and Rolling Stone are owned by the same parent company, it makes sense that Rolling Stone ranked Bad Bunny's halftime show the second best of all time.
Which is
I forget which
obviously
the first one was, but
Prince, I think. I think Prince is
was
listed
it? Okay.
as
I mean, that's not nearly as bad, but like really second best of all time.
Talk about recency bias.
Yeah, that's crazy work. You know, I was saying earlier that they could have gotten more like mainstream country acts in the Turning Point show. But even if they couldn't pull that off, like just pull out all the stops and offer Creed whatever amount of money they could possibly ask for and just get Creed. Like go full meme with it. Or like get a Creed tribute band. And just do that.
Screed.
And then like have like somebody zip line across the stage to the AI We Are Charlie Kirk song. Like, and then call it a day. Like that would be my ideal Turning Point halftime show.
Robert in the chat says it's not capitalism. They're losing viewers doing it. It's globalist and anti-Americanism. So is the idea here that they're willing to lose viewership for the sake of globalizing their audience? Then what's the point? Is it not an opportunity on behalf of the company to try and, you know, it's like the myth that the companies always talk about. They talk about the myth of the like the new audience, right? You don't go towards your target demographic. You try to find that phantom audience that wasn't there before. It's what ruined comic books and comic book movies. They tried to create new fans with women and wine moms, and it didn't work. And the same thing could be said as true for the NFL if they're trying to find an audience outside of the U.S., despite the fact that, you know, soccer is way more popular worldwide than football ever will be. Then the best thing to do as a company, it feels like, would be to advertise in country, but they're not willing to do that. So I'm willing to entertain that argument that it's a globalist point, but if it's not to make money, then I guess it's just for the degradation of American beliefs. But I also, like, you don't do that while also not trying to also make money. I don't know.
I mean, a lot of people say about award shows or about the Super Bowl that the viewership is plummeting because of wokeness. And that is true in part, but there would be a decline in viewership of live broadcast events regardless because of the fragmentation of media.
Yeah.
And the fact that there are so many different competing influences. So even if they did the best halftime show they could possibly put on this year, it would still overall show a decline in viewership from peak viewership, which would have been what, like the 90s or the 2000s when there was a monoculture.
Yeah. So I guess my question is that if the point of going global isn't to make more money, is it literally just the argument that they're doing it to because they hate America? Does Roger Goodell hate America and they just want to see
I
America?
I definitely think that Jay-Z hates America. 100%. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you disagree?
I mean, I don't know. I know Jay-Z has Democrat-leaning politics. I've never heard him come out and say he hates America, but I wouldn't be surprised by that. I just tend to think that
at this point,
making money in the internet age when you have a wider reach outside of just the 350 million people in the US seems like a more beneficial, sound, profit-seeking venture, even if it's a long uphill battle, given the fact that football is far more popular in America than anywhere else. You could say it's a bad strategy. I'd say you're right. They'd be better off appealing to actual Americans who like football. But that doesn't seem to be the way that they're going. I have the same questions about wrestling, right? So they do these shows in Saudi Arabia. They don't draw huge crowds there, it seems like. And like the Royal Rumble seemed like it didn't have almost anybody there, right? But Saudi Arabia paid them a huge amount of money to go there. So they're choosing the short-term benefit of large paydays up front at the expense of the relevance it had in American culture. So is that just the greed of upfront payments as opposed to a strong long-term strategy?
Yeah, I see where you're coming from with that. I just mean, if the Democrat Party platform is that we don't have borders and we have no claim to this land and we live on stolen land and we need to make reparation for our past, like that means if Jay-Z aligns with that, which he vocally does, he hates America, and his choice of who becomes a headliner at the Super Bowl halftime show reflects that, like especially this year.
But this is what's happening with all
and
of
last
these...
year too, to be honest.
Yeah. But this is what's happening with all of these companies, right? Like they've maximized their value in America, or so they think, right? So they have to go and try to find audiences elsewhere, and then they realize that you can't. When you try to make something for everybody, you end up making something for nobody because you can't make everybody happy.
Well, F1 is actually soaring in popularity much faster.
Yeah,
that would be where to invest.
That seems like one of those things where that's an audience that started outside of the U.S. and then grew in popularity here because of,
Cleggy said Pepsi culturally appropriating polar bears something bingo card. That wasn't on my 2026 bingo card.
They did do that.
Shane H. Wilder said the only good commercial I've seen in a while was Chevy's 2025 Christmas one. Even it was pulling from the 90s era. I recommend watching it.
Oh, please!
Thank you. I don't remember that commercial.
I don't either.
Is this the second one? Was that the second party?
That was the second one.
Okay. Pop Culture Junkie said, really liked the Lay's Potato Chip Family Farm Super Bowl spot. Maybe it's because we had a farm in my family growing up. I don't think I saw that one either. I remember... See, here's the thing. With a lot of these Super Bowl commercials, like the story gets so convoluted before they even say what it's a commercial for that you forget the brand and you only remember the storyline of the commercial. Like there was one that had like a horse and a baby chick, but I have no idea what it was an advertisement for now. Corey Anderson said, due to the vulgarity of the lyrics, the FCC needs to fine NBC.
I wonder if there's something put in place about cursing in a language other than English.
I mean, I'm certain that wouldn't be allowed either, but didn't they bleep all of that stuff out? I guess we wouldn't know.
We wouldn't know.
Because we didn't understand it, but like, I assumed that they did.
Broody Gambit on Rumble says, always ask for proof. My boss got a ticket once from a camera shot. You can clearly see the plate number was the same, but the offending vehicle had a Georgia plate compared to my boss's South Carolina plate. Yeah, there you go.
Shane H. Wilder said, I watched both and didn't like either. Oh, I think you read that one earlier about Kid Rock. Shane H. Wilder said, Mary, always avoid Jell-O shots. You never know what you're going to get. I went to a party once that used vodka and Everclear. Last time I ever had one.
Ugh.
But they're supposed to be flavored. Was the flavor just rubbing alcohol? The flavor was just nail polish remover? Like, it's supposed to at least mask it.
Yep.
But yeah, those were, the ones I tried were, I think like 15%, and it was no good. Corey Anderson said Sabaton would have been ideal for the halftime show.
I don't know who they could have gotten other than, again, I don't know if they could have gotten Creed for the Turning Point one, but Creed definitely would have done the Super Bowl one if they were asked. Get them and Nickelback, and then Nickelback can bridge the gap into Canada.
See, not getting Creed or Nickelback or both for the actual halftime show is just about as bad as not casting Henry Cavill as James Bond.
I also like the idea of Weird Al.
There's just so much money on the table that you're just ignoring. Like, that's just crazy to me.
Henry Cavill's busy now.
He would definitely play James Bond if they offered it to him. 100%.
And I've come around to the argument to him now, mainly because my argument before was about his age. But now that I look at the age of the other actors, but you look at how much younger actors can stay looking now as opposed to before, he could do it.
I'm just like poking them with a stick, like, do the thing.
He would also have to lose some of the muscle mass because he's literally so... he was in such good shape that he doesn't look like a spy. Like, in a lot of he's a little too buff for it.
I don't know much about that, but like, wouldn't losing the muscle mass be easier than gaining it?
Yeah, they were talking about casting like Jacob Elordi, right? And they're like, he's 6'5". You can't have a 6'5" spy. Stands out.
These new gen actors just have no aura.
No,
it's a problem. They just don't have the aura that the previous generation did. High Voltage 75 said Carrie Underwood already does the Sunday Night Football theme for the NFL. No way she would be a part of some alternate broadcast like that. Yeah, probably contractually she wasn't even able to do it if they asked. But it's just like, make it a very simple, like, we love our country, we love our troops, we love our veterans, we love family type thing. And like, get the references to like trans stuff like out of it. You know, like, our expectations for the Bad Bunny performance were already so low that conservatives are like happy about what actually happened, which is insane to me. Like, we dramatized it so much in our minds that like he was gonna come out in like a dress and say like F ICE. And do that, and then when he didn't do that, and he didn't like play into those,
but this is
narratives,
what happens every time.
Conservatives were like, "Oh, it was actually fine," but it wasn't. It was not. It was very much woke and racially charged, and hateful toward the country.
Yeah, this is the same thing that's going to happen with like He-Man, with Skeletor being toxic masculinity. He's just going to be a generic bad guy, and it won't matter.
Yeah, they're just like kind of overselling it.
Well, that's the problem, right? They're overselling the worst aspects of it.
The end result, then is like totally underwhelming.
I just want to be evil.
Shane H. Wilder said, I thought I think you read that one earlier. Yeah, so that was another problem with the Turning Point thing. That you could barely tell that there was an audience in that broadcast. Like, they weren't really shown on screen at all. It felt like kind of creepy almost. The entire thing was indoors. It didn't have any sense of like size and like grandiosity and pomp and circumstance. There was no like set design. There was no set design other than really like lasers and like smoke machines. It just ended up looking like your average Protestant megachurch Just go into your average mega church in your city, and you will see something equivalent to the Turning Point halftime show.
Well, that's why they're good at it. That's why they're good at it.
Is that the only thing these people can do? Like, give us some variety here. Like, I was falling asleep. I had to play it on 2x speed to get through it. And I skipped most of it. I had also never heard of those artists other than Kid Rock. I had never heard of those people.
Yeah.
And like, granted, I'm not really the biggest country fan, but who the hell are these people? What's even the point of having a lineup of multiple artists when it doesn't draw new viewers?
I think next year it would be great if they announced it before the NFL even announces their halftime show and still go through with it and just make it less of a counter signal and say, because here's the other thing about it. Okay. You look at this show and yeah, it sucks, but you know who's there? Lady Gaga's there. Freaking stupid Pedro Pascal is in the background trying to not look gay. Like everybody's there. And so it's always going to feel like this is a big club and you're not in it. You need to look like you're part of your own club and you don't care that you're not a part of the other one.
Yeah, it's like, how you going to hate from outside the club when you can't even get in? Yeah, that was another clear mistake they made. They shouldn't have announced their own halftime show alternative before they even had a concept of who would be playing at it and what it would be.
It's like ultra-right beer and the calendars and stuff like that. It's all reactionary. Like, this can be done. It just needs to be done on your. You have to have your own vision for wanting to do it rather than it being a reaction to something else.
Right. Shane H. Wilder said, Doja, a cell phone mount is like $10 at Walmart. Giving yourself a double chin while we look up your nose and as you eat mango is not flattering. Yeah, I don't think her aim is to be flattering. I think she wants to be kind of ugly and outrageous. That's kind of her thing. Robert Delara said, Doja Cat may not like turtles, but she likes mango. She needs to learn how to chew. She wasn't even chewing the mango. It was just down the hatch. Like, that was kind of scary. She needs the Heimlich. Alejandro Reyes said, that woman buying the Skims erased my remaining will to live.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just your average affluent white lady in Los Angeles, though. They would do it 99% of the time. Shane H. Wilder said, you know, I'll call out the demonic when I see it. Other than the pentagram, it just looks like something out of a bunch of stoned art house nerds.
Okay, so
that's what I'm saying.
So I guess then that's my question for it, right? So is the idea here that, and you would be able to tell this to me because I wouldn't know, is there a reason for that to be there other than a form of satanic signaling? The visible pentagram. Is there some other meaning to it when it's an inverted, when it's like that? Is there some other meaning for it that makes it something other than satanic signaling? I'm willing to buy that it's something satanic and some dude some artist that thinks he's edgy is slipping it in there. Sure. I buy that. Do I buy that there's 10 guys around a perpetually burning flame who demand and decree that it must be in there because it's a signal to the elites? I don't know.
That's a tough sell.
That's a tough sell to me. But do I buy that there's an edgy artist who's in his satanic phase? Sure. But I don't know.
I think if it were satanic, of course, plausible deniability is an essential ingredient. And by modeling it after the Da Vinci sketch, you have the perfect explanation for portraying that.
So it's safe edgy.
Yeah, basically. Corey Anderson said, I don't like this clavicular guy. Meth is bad.
It is
Guys, this is going to be our new slogan for the show. Meth is bad.
Can we sell that as a shirt? Feels like you should be able to sell that.
Meth is bad. That should be an acceptable thing.
Don't do it.
Shane H. Wilder said, is premeditated frame mogging a misdemeanor or felony?
Well, like I said, it's mog slaughter. It's like manslaughter, but it's...
Corey Anderson said, red grapes or green grapes?
Red.
What'd you say?
Red.
Red?
Yeah.
I don't know if there's...
I always thought they were purple, not red.
Right. They are purple. Well, is there that big of a difference?
The green ones are more sour.
Okay. Then I guess I like the purple or red ones better. Corey Anderson said, I don't care what it means. Jester gooning is what Brett said it is from now on. Get on Jester gooning, Bert Kreischer.
I don't even remember what I said it was. Was it like making jokes while
jorking
it? Yeah, don't do that, guys. Again, that's against the law in all 50 states if you're out in public, so don't do it.
So is munting. Shane H. Wilder said the definition of munting. Why do we need a term for that? How is that common enough to have a term in modern day slang?
Not just illegal in all 50 states, Puerto Rico as well. Doesn't matter where you go, against
states
the
and
law.
Territories. That I didn't need to learn that, but now that I know, I felt I had to share with all of you.
Yeah, the chat was like, bro, what?
I'm sorry, but
The
that's
chat was
what
not,
it is.
There was like
That's
a very
what it is.
polite comment that said this episode should get demonetized.
That's what the kids are into, apparently. Yep.
Somebody in Rumble whose name I can never pronounce says green grapes aren't inherently more sour than purple grapes. I always thought they were.
That's just an old wives' tale or something. I don't know. High Voltage 75 said, to an old fuddy-duddy like me, that segment with all the Gen Z slang terms was pure ear cancer. Thanks for that. You're welcome. You are so welcome. That's why I am here. Corey Anderson said, Bianca, thanks for reinforcing my belief that we do not need art anymore. We have enough art, no new art.
We have art at home.
Well, look, I mean, the point of art is that we don't need it. Yes. And only societies that have leisure have thriving art and cultural output. You need the basic necessities of just running a civilization to be covered before people have the leisure time to truly, be creative.
Also, I think it's a sign of what people, there's already people that take a dim view of artists or creatives because of that inherent feeling, especially if you err on the side of a pragmatic personality rather than somebody who has a more, artistic view of the world. You're already going to see it as unimportant, which is again to the detriment, especially if you're a conservative and you're looking at art, it's to your detriment to not understand the importance that art has in the world. You build a functioning society so that beautiful things can be created, and it makes life worth living in a lot of ways, along with family and friends and human connection and all of that stuff. But for the most part, when people talk about the importance of art, as society gets harder to wade through and your bills get harder to pay and the value matters, your dollar value has less than it did before, people are going to hate artists even more because the artists are like, we're going to go on strike. We're not going to make movies until you pay us what we want. And people are going to be like, everybody's struggling. The idea that you can create something that doesn't keep society running and be a bitch about it is egregious to the average person.
Yeah, rightfully so. By the way, we were talking about how the Writers Guild was threatening a strike recently.
Yeah, are
they following through on that?
That could still happen. Absolutely. We may have to cover that more when it comes up, but that could absolutely still happen.
Incredible. Well, I just want to reiterate, art is important.
Yes, it is.
And this is why I posted recently about how conservatives need to stop claiming otherwise. They need to really give art the respect that it's due and make inroads in making a conservative presence in the arts, because disregarding it is not going to do anything for your movement.
And they have to, but the thing is it can't be done from somebody starting from a political space. They have to come from a creative space first. The problem is, if there is like a legitimate conservative person who starts making great conservative art, it will be lauded by people who are going to immediately turn it into something that becomes a culture war topic. So if it comes out and it's great, Fox News is going to want to have them on to talk about their great art, and then CNN or whatever is going to talk about how it's an alt-right dog whistle, and then it's automatically turned into a culture war issue.
Well, look, there is liberal art and there is conservative art, meaning only that it's made by a liberal or a conservative. But there's also just like good and bad art.
Yes.
And like people with stupid political beliefs can make great art and vice versa. I just think that needs to not be part of the equation anymore.
What I was thinking about the other day was like when we talked about, what was the guy's name? Who's the dude who did Richmond, North of Richmond?
Oh, Oliver Anthony.
And I was thinking about how, if I remember correctly, he was like, he ended up saying he's like not a political person or something like that. And I was like, you can't make a song that references Epstein Island and not and then try to take that train.
And politicians, of course.
Yeah.
Like that was literally in the lyrics. I thought that was his downfall needs to be studied.
But they were saying
Oliver Anthony's downfall.
They were trying to say that, because the conservatives called him shit lib, and the liberals were pissed at him because he ended up on, they ended up talking about it like the Republican debates or something like that, which was the most absurd thing I've ever seen in my entire life. But the point is like this: when you mention like Epstein's Island, you're gone from regular politics and you're into the internet now. You have officially entered internet territory. You have to either own it or pivot. He tried to pivot and it didn't work.
I just continue feeling so vindicated about the Oliver Anthony thing. Like at the time, I was just like a hater from the get-go. And then I felt I was proven right in my instincts later on. But obviously nobody even remembers him or his song anymore, even though they said like this is going to be remembered for generations. It's like the greatest protest song of all time. Like nobody even remembers that it existed anymore.
Yep.
That was a flash in the pan. Boss N said $2 for conservative Daria Wednesday Mary over Sweeney.
So that makes you conservative Daria?
I guess. Yeah, I don't know if I want to own that. Brian Bledsoe said, looks like Jay-Z is back from leaving the country because of the Epstein files. Enjoyed the TPUSA show and hope they keep it for next year.
Another thing that wasn't true. They're like he ran because of the Epstein files.
That's another episode of conspiracy fatigue. Alejandro Reyes said, just made it to the meta commentary on Bianca and my envy is growing. I wish I was rich enough to do this nonsense. Well, look, I mean, I think that if you get that rich in your life, you should actually not engage in nonsense like that. I don't think that excuses going out in public naked, actually. G. Perez said, Mary, if you haven't, go see the renovated Church of the Assumption in Nashville. It is beautiful, and check the story out of the priest saving the host during the tornado. God bless the show. Yeah, that is true. Tornado, I forget in what year, blew through Nashville and destroyed this church, and only recently did they reconstruct it and reopen it. And yeah, it's beautiful. Pop Culture Junkie said Lays was an older man passing on his potato farm to his daughter to manage before a surprise retirement party at the end.
Okay.
Well, that's sweet and wholesome. Shane H. Wilder said no one knew they used vodka and Everclear till we tried them. They were watery and we thought they just didn't refrigerate them long enough. Turned out they were in the freezer a week and didn't solidify. Okay, so there was not even any like pretense of Jell-O. It was just liquid. That's not a Jell-O shot. I don't know what that is. That's like a war crime. High Voltage 75 said every time you guys mention megachurches, I think of that Drewski skit you showed. Still cracks me up. I saw a Drewski in one of the Super Bowl ads. I don't remember what it was now.
Was he?
Yeah. Robert Delera said, even though I like the overall message that meth is bad, it's not as catchy as crack is whack.
That's true. What about meth is death? There you go.
Meth is death. Sure. That's a good phrase. The Last of My Kind said, smoke brisket, not meth.
It's like one of those rad dad Instagram channels has that exact merch for sale.
The Last of My Kind said there are green grapes that are called cotton candy that are the sweet version versus the sour regular version. Highly recommend the cotton candy ones.
Okay.
I'll have to give those a try. I don't know why we're talking about grapes right now, but good to know. Do we have any Rumble rants?
I believe we are all caught up. We got one more from... Hold on.
Oh, I didn't see that one yet. Shane said, I remember people talking mad-ish at Mary for the Oliver Anthony take. I hope they have some hot sauce for that crow they had to eat. Yeah, that I could see coming from a mile away.
Yeah.
It was.
I mean, the other thing about it is like the idea that you can counter this argument. Like, no song in 2026 or 2025 or 2024 or really in any of the 2020s is going to be remembered for decades to come.
I'm trying to think, like, is there a song that's come out in the last half a decade that I feel is going to be remembered?
Like, what was the last song that was like that's going to be representative of a monoculture, of a time when everybody remembers it?
Gosh, I don't know, because this is what I was touching on with the Grammys. It's like you can look back at past year of the Grammys in like the 80s or something, and every single nominated song is a hit that people remember and listen to this day. Everyone knows these songs.
Well, it's kind of my point about
it's not the same thing for what was nominated this year or any of the recent years. They're all just like written to be catchy in an algorithm, like on a TikTok algorithm.
It's like what I tweeted on Saturday. I said we've been to one store and I've already heard Everywhere by Michelle Branch. How many times will we hear it today? I did not hear it again that day, but the point is, every time you go out, if you go grocery shopping, you probably hear that song, or you hear 1,000 Miles by Vanessa Carlton.
Do you think that The Fate of Ophelia is going to be remembered?
No.
That song, because it's just straight hooks all the way through. Like, mathematically, it sounds like the ideal pop song. That's how it was written. Like,
I don't know if any of her later albums are going to catch the way her earlier ones did.
I don't know. I mean, I wonder if AI could tell me, like, if it's just by whatever is the most popular, the most streamed.
Broody Gambit on Rumble says, shirt idea: accountant at a desk smiling with all his teeth in a tag that says, "I'm bad at meth."
The most popular song since 2020 appears to be Blinding Lights by The Weeknd. Levitating by Dua Lipa. That was also huge.
I think Blinding Lights would be more well-known.
These other ones are Anti-Hero by Taylor Swift, Flowers by Miley Cyrus, and As It Was by Harry Styles.
I don't think any of those are going to resonate with anybody decades from now.
Those last three, no, but I think that Blinding Lights by The Weeknd or Levitating by Dua Lipa, those might stand the test of time.
Somebody mentioned the Lumineers. Yeah, Ho Hey might be the last song that everybody remembers.
I think it's Party in the USA.
And I'm a defender of that song by the Lumineers. I don't care what I don't care if it's Stomp Clap.
I think Party in the USA is going to be a generational hit.
Could be. Absolutely. See, that's the other. So what about Miley Cyrus for the halftime show? Or Weird Al Yankovic? That's who they should get to do it, is Weird Al.
But that's the thing. Like, I fully believe like a white person is never going to headline the Super Bowl again as long as Jay-Z has anything to say about it.
Maybe.
Like, I think that he has committed to not allowing that to happen. Cleggy said, Brett's branch theory trademark pending. Oh, branch theory. Michelle Branch theory.
You probably hear it once every time you go out. It's the last bastion of like a unified culture.
I don't think I hear it every time I go out, but I would like to.
Depends on if you're going into some type of corporate business where it's on the safe playlist. The only place you're not going to hear it is in some type of diner that plays 50s music.
Yeah. Corey Anderson said Downfall of Us All is still a banger. I don't know that.
There's other people mentioning, somebody mentioned a Puddle of Mud. I don't think that's going to be modern representation. So certainly something from the early 2000s. Party Rock. Party Rock is in the house. Who sang that one? Was that LMFAO?
Isn't that LMFAO?
Didn't one of the guys from LMFAO go pro at tennis? I
Not
heard
that I know
I read
of.
that somewhere. Somebody can fact check me on that. Maybe
That's
I'm
a
wrong.
nice side quest for him.
Yeah. All right, guys. Before we go, would you all hit the like button on this video, please, and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed yet already. We're getting very, very close to 400,000 subscribers, which is a huge deal. So thank you guys so much for that. Mary, where can they find you?
You guys can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived. And help me get TikTok famous. That is also Mary Archived. We got one more from Corey Anderson. The singer of Three Doors Down died over the weekend. Yes, he did.
We forgot to
You
mention
mentioned that off air.
That was actually something I confronted myself with over the weekend, because when I saw that, there is a really, really good version of Here Without You that I found, like a blues version from AI. And it just got me to thinking about how the whole reason AI can be successful as a product right now is because it apes off of stuff that was created out of monoculture. Not even modern stuff. Like it's not even about it ripping off current year songs or current year anything. It's that it's ripping off stuff that was so recognizable to the largest swath of population that it makes people interested to listen to it. So that was something that came up when Zachary Levi was on with us on IRL. He was talking about those renditions of famous songs and stuff like that. So Brad Arnold was somebody that created something that is now being aped on by technology and likely will never be experienced in the same way by newer artists who are just not part of a culture that has that much pull in one direction.
We have another from Corey Anderson. So if whites need representation at the Super Bowl halftime show, we need to get a team together led by Liam Neeson, probably.
Yeah.
What does Liam Neeson have to do with it?
So he's what is it? It says hold on.
And I'm not saying we need DEI for white people. We are just dealing with the opposite thing right now, where it's no white people allowed.
And one more here
the
from
headline.
Shane H. Wilder says, I got nothing. It feels that all the good songs were before COVID. They are all songs I like, but nothing has cultural impact. Yeah, it's all the decentralization of where you get your information. The songs that will resonate with somebody on TikTok for the next 20 years will be different than the songs that resonate with somebody who watches stuff elsewhere.
Well, that song by Doja Cat, I forget what it's called now, but it went super viral during COVID, like lockdowns when everyone was downloading TikTok.
But viral doesn't mean the same thing as it did back when you were like the artists of the artists of the 90s make whole careers off the fact that their songs were played in every radio station and they had millions of sales. Now, a lot of times they got screwed out of their album sales. They didn't make the money that they should have made, but they're able to have a whole career based on the popularity that was created out of a monolithic culture. That's just never going to happen anymore. You're going to have to be an independent from the start if you want to get anywhere in these industries. So,
right.
All right, guys, if you want to follow me, I am on Instagram and X at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. This show is here 5 days a week, guys, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is, of course, noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you would like to listen rather than just watch this show, you can also rate and review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, which is a great way to help our channel out. So thank you so much for that. And if you want to follow us on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook at Pop Culture Crisis, Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Guys, we will be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then. Bye, everybody.
Bye.